Nothing in life is either black or white. Everything comes in gradients. And if you continue to define life in black or white, you will always be confused, you will always be lost in your life. So listen up.
I think we all have to go in there and just trust to it.
Warning, this is a bit more of an advanced video, kind of a meta topic. So if you're just starting out in personal development, maybe this is not the video for you. You might want to look at the more basic stuff like, building confidence, building self-esteem, building happiness, finding your purpose and all that. You can watch these other videos. So I'm going to give you 3 tips in order to become more open-minded, okay, and not fall for the trap of black and white thinking. Okay, so the number 1 thing is to understand paradigm lock. What is paradigm lock? Paradigm lock is basically you lock to a certain paradigm of doing things. You lock to a certain worldview, you lock to a certain belief system, and that is all you believe. A lot of people fall into this. For example, in the manosphere community, the MGTOW, men going their own way, the incels, the pickup artists, even people in personal development, they fall into that paradigm lock that it's all about entrepreneurship, fuck the 9 to 5. I mean, what if some people like the 9 to 5? What if some people are genuinely happy, as a lawyer? That's genuinely what they want to do. Have you ever thought of that? Yes, that can be, right? You have to understand that paradigm lock occurs because of closed-mindedness, right? Because of the inability to see other perspectives, and because of confirmation bias, right? You believe a certain thing, and the more that you believe that thing, you're only going to look for evidence that confirms that belief. Right. So if you believe that, men are stupid and that, there's no good men out there, then you're only going to look at evidence of toxic relationships, of narcissistic men who abuse their girlfriends or their wives. You're only going to look at the evidence to prove your negative belief. And that creates paradigm lock. And beyond that, what's even worse is that now with the internet, you can just go online and look for a group, for example, how a toxic relationship support, whatever, and now you're on this group and you talk about all your story, and everyone else, all the women in that group, are gonna say, yeah, men are fucking assholes, there's no good men out there, all men are assholes, stupid, right? The gender opposite of that is the men going their own way or incel group, which is absolutely insane. They say like, oh, there's no good women out there, all women are like that, whatever they say, right? This is paradigm lock. And the problem with the internet now is that it can create something that is called digital tribalism, right? Which basically tries forming in the internet to confirm your faulty paradigm. Because of this phenomena that's happening, people are no longer able to think in complexity. People are no longer able to have nuanced thinking. So most people, when they encounter a paradox, they just assume that because a paradox exists, there must be an irony there, right? They equal paradox with irony, right? They believe that if there's a paradox that doesn't make sense to them, they just believe that this thing should not exist, this thing should not be true, right? So for example, let's just get back to the old example, right? So for example, women who believe that men are, there's no good men out there, they're all assholes, they're all stupid, right? And then you hear about this woman who, I don't know, has a good relationship, and she posts in that toxic group, whatever thing. And then, I don't know, maybe some other toxic woman gonna be like, well, he just wants you for your looks, or he just wants you because, you're a model, whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, that's just, I don't know what's happening in these groups. I'm just saying random shit. But look at the MGTOW group, okay? For example, if you were to go in one of these groups that, basically are very misogynistic against women, right? Let's be real here. Come on, let's be real. Any of you guys who know that, you go into these groups and you say, hey man, guys, so I've been in an amazing relationship with this woman. It's been amazing. We shared things and we're like really in common. And then probably one of these guys are gonna say, well, that doesn't make sense because women are not like that, right? Because most people believe that it's either or. It's like either you're successful and rich or you're poor and you're a dumbass. Either you're amazing with women or you're loser incel. I mean, there are many gradients in between. Have you ever thought of like, maybe there's a guy who's kind of good with women but also has like certain insecurities but can still make it work despite that, right? That's pretty much my story. I have some insecurities like everyone. I have self-esteem issues. I've had self-esteem issues like everyone, right? but I can still make it work. I can still make friends. I can still socialize. I can still be, if I want, if I put a bit of effort, I can be the life of the party if I put a bit of effort, right? So those are things to take into consideration. So the second tip to avoid black and white thinking is to become more open to possibilities, right? Be open of contradicting viewpoints. Be open that the two things that are contradicting can exist at the same time, right? Be open to the idea that certain ideas, certain topics, certain themes, can overlap with other themes that, might seem totally weird, right? In a certain theme, okay? Like there can be infinite amount of variations of that similar theme. Look at my 200 or so videos, right? All of my videos is me with a mask speaking in front of my camera. But the topics are slightly different, right? Yes, it's this theme of personal development, but there's infinite micro variations of these videos. Infinite variations, and all of these variations help you understand personal development from different levels, help you understand yourself from different viewpoints, right? So this is what this channel is doing. But look at your life and look at just look at the men out there, right? Have you noticed that all men, they have yeah, and my light just went off, but whatever, we're gonna continue this video. Have you looked there's infinite variations in different types of men, right? There's men who are kind of assholes, but they're also kind of good, and that's why you keep being drawn to them and you get abused. Or there's the guys who are incredibly nice, but they're also confident and they're artistic and they're actually great. They actually exist, these men, right? Or there's certain men who are kind of ugly, don't look very nice, but they have their shit together and they know how to treat a woman well, right? Have you thought of that? There's micro variations of similar themes. Things are not just black and white. All of you guys who believe that, I don't know, women are stupid or women are always going to cheat and go for the higher value men, well, how you've thought that maybe, yes, they go for the higher value man, but what if you could be the high value man? And what if in her eyes, the only value really is, what you have to offer, and she doesn't care about what other men have to offer? Yes, they could be that rock star guitar player with high value, millions of dollars, but she sees more value in you as a person, in what you have to offer, your experience, your life, your personality, than this random ass rock star. Have you ever thought of that? And maybe because you're behind a keyboard and you're reading on the internet, you believe that, oh yeah, no, bullshit, this is not gonna happen, this is not how life works. Well, what if this is how life actually works? What if relationships actually work like that? Not like what you've read on the internet. How about your own first-hand experience of relationships, right? Maybe you've never had a relationship, but that's why you post this bullshit on forums, right? You've never had one. So just think about that, right? And yes, even if your experience with relationships was bad in the past, can you be open to the idea that maybe a good relationship exists out there? Have you thought of that? So this new paradigm is really about flexibility and openness, seeing things as cause and effect, and seeing things holistically as many parts together, that many constituent parts that make up a whole, right? And you can look at a specific thing, sort of as a system, right? You use systems thinking and you use well, okay, this part, if I do this, then this happens, and those are the processes that led to that thing. Fulfillment, there's pride, there's anger, there's fear, there's all these emotions, and I can feel all of these emotions in different gradients. Maybe I feel 40% fulfillment with 10% anger and 50% sadness, or you start seeing things as gradients. Also, this is a paradigm of you see yourself that you're constantly evolving, right? You see yourself at a point where, I'm not either a successful person or a shitty person. I am an evolving being that is evolving every step of the way. So you move from the static black and white, this is who I am kind of self, to an evolving self. You look at yourself as an evolving piece of art, as something that is growing, changing, evolving. Be like water, like Bruce Lee said. Start to develop what I like to call independent thinking, or even even deeper than that, interdependent thinking, right? Stephen Covey in the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he talks about, there's independence, and a level higher than that is interdependence. Basically, interdependence is the point that you reach where, I can think on my own. And I can make decisions on my own, but if I team up with someone, or if I get different points of view or feedback, I can grow even better. But the independent thinker, which is more like, they believe like this is what it is, and nobody can contest that. This is what I believe, which is okay, but it can become a bit black and white if you take this too far, right? So to open to that gradient of ideas, then you want to develop interdependent thinking. And number 3 tip to avoid black and white thinking is start noticing gray zones. Gray zones are basically meeting points between 2 ideas, okay? And this is basically what I like to call a threshold, right? A threshold is like, at which point exactly does happiness turn into sadness? You can be confident, okay? But at which point does confidence turn into arrogance, right? Like, notice the threshold between overconfidence and arrogance. Where is that exactly, right? Where is the meeting point? Where is the what is the differentiator here, right? Look at these nuances. Now look at pride versus confidence. What is healthy pride? What is unhealthy pride? What is healthy confidence? What is unhealthy confidence? Here's an interesting one. How about high self-esteem and a superiority complex, okay? Where does high self-esteem can actually be a superiority complex? And when does superiority complex actually, you can change that into high self-esteem? What is the determining factor that makes it different, right? So you can see, for example, in a superiority complex, that's in that superiority complex, it's not just superiority complex. There's many layers of lack of self-esteem in that complex, lack of self-worth, lack of emotional support growing up, and all of these things going up in your life that ended up that this person is a narcissist, right? And there are many things in place. Notice the many things. This is what I want you to pay attention to. So, for example, a serial killer. Okay, a serial killer who kills a lot of people. Yes, you can label them as evil. Okay, label them as bad. Yes, okay, but look at what's going on in that person's mind. Maybe they grew up in a dysfunctional family, and maybe they actually have emotions. They have empathy. They just don't have empathy for, I don't know, blonde women with blue eyes, or for about little girls or little kids, right? Look at all these gradients. Maybe this person actually has a child, or maybe this person, is a doctor, or I don't know, like some crazy shit like that. Look at all the constituent parts and realize that, appearances are not everything. Let's look at more paradoxes, more gradients, because it's interesting. How about being yourself versus evolving yourself? Okay. When does being yourself stops you from evolving yourself, and when does evolving yourself equals to being yourself? I don't know. This is a huge sort of paradox of yeah, you can be yourself, but you want to be yourself, but at the same time you want to evolve yourself, right? And there are many gradients of how you can simultaneously be yourself and evolve yourself. And it's not just either you evolve yourself and you wear a mask and you become fake, or either you be yourself and you stay who you are and you never grow. It's not that black and white in self-help. Many layers of authenticity. You can be authentic and still wear a mask. Have you thought of that? You can still be authentic, say the truth as it is, and convey information while still wearing a mask, a black mask on the internet, and post it on YouTube, right? Have you thought of that? Here's an interesting one. How about the difference between being influential, right, having an influence on the world, versus being manipulative, right? Interesting, right? When does being influential, when does being a good salesman cross the threshold into becoming manipulative? When does manipulation can be used for good in a way to influence people to change in a positive way? Or when does influence become a negative thing where people start believing bullshit of conspiracy theories and that, I don't know, that Mexicans are the reason why the American economy is failing, or I don't know what, and build a wall or stupid shit like that. I don't know what, right? So you have to look at that. When does influence become manipulation? Is manipulation a good or a bad thing? When can manipulation be used in doing for positive ends, for good things, right? So you have to stop jumping to conclusions. You have to stop jumping to like, yo, this is how life is. And there's nothing I can do about it, right? Like the main thing that I get from clients or from comments is they say like, life is meaningless. There's nothing we can do about it. I'm gonna kill myself. I got comments like that on my existential crisis video, right? And it's like, dude, things are not that black and white. Yes, life is meaningless in a way, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna kill yourself. It doesn't mean that there's nothing you can do about it, right? If life is meaningless, yes, it can be meaningless, but can you find meaning in that meaninglessness? Can you find a gradient of meaninglessness in your, can you reconcile sort of like a gray zone here where it's not all meaningless, but there's some meaning somewhere to be found. And yes, even if that meaning is meaningless, you can still find meaning in it. Yes, this is paradoxical, I understand, but can you handle that paradox? Can you hold that thought, contradicting thought in your head? And if you can, then you're much more likely to find happiness. You're much more likely to be happy in life. And if you want to be more happy, if you want to be more fulfilled, you can book a free consultation call with me, link in the description below. And if you enjoyed this video about black and white thinking, then you're going to love this video about the cognitive distortions that are going to ruin your life. So I'll see you there. Simply put, you take one instance that happened in your life for one thing and you blow it up out of proportion, basically